Teratophilia. Probably still pronouncing that wrong. So I decided to do a general video on this one. Might get uploaded first, before the other one, but might not. So, people who want to fuck monsters, but more mentally like humans kind of monsters. This is, like, a really common thing with millennials now. And I have definitely now seen a lot of the older generation breaking the fuck out! The most common thing I've been hearing lately, especially in response to the Shape of Water movie, was that Teratophilia is just bestiality. First thing I want to say about this is it's actually just plain wrong, because the big thing with Teratophilia seems to be very much human-level intelligence, so think vampires and werewolves. So stuff that is on the human level psychologically, creatures that can consent. That's a big thing within Teratophilia, is creatures that can consent. And that's the massive reason why it's definitely not bestiality. Because bestiality is, well, it's people who want to fuck animals who do not have human-level intelligence and definitely cannot consent. That's one of the huge differences. So, like, bestiality, I'm not fucking okay with that. That's weird. You're fucked up. And that's just wrong. Whereas Teratophilia, that's like, okay, currently in the real world, it's not even possible. But at least to our knowledge, because aliens haven't landed yet. Unless some really fucked up shit happens between me making this video and posting this video. In which case, wow. That happened quickly. And then the Teratophilia is like, there is consent. Like, even when I look through, like, all the different Teratophilia blogs, because, there's so many of them now that I just kind of want to see what the fuck's going on. Like, even when you look at all the stories, there is always some kind of consent. And that's one of the big areas where I think is a huge matter, is consent matters. It's one of the biggest reasons why bestiality isn't okay, as far as I'm concerned, is because the animal, the beast, cannot consent whatsoever. It's just not possible. And fuck anyone who says they do consent, telepathically or by wagging their tails. You're fucked up and you're wrong. Whereas monsters, usually they consent the same way human beings consent. Especially when you deal with the more human-like monsters, like vampires. They're basically humans with fangs and the need to consume blood, and maybe some supernatural funky-wonky powers. So. And there's definitely different, like, tiers to Teratophilia, I find. You've got the ones that just want to, like, date the low-key monsters, you know, the vampires, the ones that are very similar to humans. And you've got your, like, middle tiers, the ones sorta human, sorta not, like the fish monster from Shape of Water and, like, werewolves, let's say. They look sorta human, but not quite. And then you've got, like, the extreme ones who want to fuck slime monsters and walls with faces that talk. Those ones are definitely less common, and can be, like, really out there and fucking weird, but they're definitely the least common. And, honestly, I'm all for this shit. It's fucking hilarious to kind of look at, and it's like, this is just a show of our times a little bit, and honestly, yes. Yes. Just, yes. And, to bring back what I've said in the other video, probably should upload it first, I guess, at this point. It's a big thing within the millennial generation now, and a large part is because human society right now is kind of fucked up, and a lot of humans right now are really fucked up. So, a lot of the times it's like, well, this alien creature might be, like, in the perfect society now. That's one aspect of it. I know the other aspect of it is, well, one of the other aspects of it is just simply, what kind of kinky shit could this monster do? Because, yes, there are people who are going to be into Teratophilia just purely for the kinky shit. Like, the weird-looking penises and long tongues. I know I've seen, like, the slime monster one especially. The only thing I've ever seen with slime monsters was always, like, weird kinky shit. So, and then you've also got the teratophiles that just simply do not find human beings attractive, but do find, like, pointy ears attractive, fangs attractive, maybe neon blue skin attractive. There's going to be those teratophiles as well. Honestly, I think those teratophiles are kind of in the majority right now, which I don't know if that says a lot about humans, that there's all these humans that find humans unattractive, or at least less attractive than these non-human creatures. I don't know if that says a whole lot. There probably will be a research study on that. That would be hilarious. I would love that if someone would do a research study on that. It almost makes me want to do a research study on that, but I don't nearly have the stuff to do such a study. And, like, with the Teratophilia stuff, like, almost all of it has been 18 plus from what I've seen, at least on Tumblr. But I know Tumblr's kind of the place where you can get away with porn and stuff. On other websites, I imagine there's probably a lot less of that. But the weird thing is there's one Teratophilia blog that popped up that's rather new. And they decided to go through all their subscribers to get rid of all the, the minors. Because if you're a minor, you don't get to follow a not suitable for work blog because that's fucking illegal for the person who owns the blog and you can get them in legal trouble, so don't do it. And the thing I found kind of funny is they talked about how one of their subscribers was a 14-year-old. And that just, in and of itself, is both like, okay, so there's a 14-year-old who wants to see porn, really odd porn, and is also into Teratophilia. And that kind of goes in with the idea that I think there's a shit ton of similarities between Gen Z and millennials, and that weird middle group, the Gen Z millennial hybrids, which I'm technically one of, sort of. It's kind of weird. So there's like a lot of similarities between these two groups. And so far, I'd say the Teratophilia thing is only going to get bigger with Gen Zers. Which means we're going to have a future of Teratophilia is going to become a big-ass thing, which makes me wonder, is like, what kind of films are we going to get in the future? Because Shape of Water, that was a Teratophilia movie. It really literally was a Teratophilia film. That's what it was. And with millennials, and apparently lots of Gen Zers too, liking this stuff, there's only going to be more, probably. There's probably going to be more books and stuff. I mean, you even see it reflected in books right now, even. Like, 90% of the romance books, especially in the teen section, are between a human and a non-human, which, I mean, I'm all about that shit. I love romance novels that are about that. That's the only romance novels I like, because it's so much more interesting. And I think that might be another one of the reasons why Teratophilia has kind of become a thing, is because it's much more creative and interesting. And the millennial generation has a really high level of artisticness of being creative. So that's probably another reason why it's there. So, and then with the older generation's reaction to this has been absolutely hilarious. Like, most of them just think it's bestiality, which I've already addressed. It's just simply not, and to claim it is just kind of silly. It just shows you don't really understand what either one actually is. At all. Or maybe you only know it slightly. But the other area is just simply older generations looking down at us youngins and being like, what the fuck? What's going on? Our children are being brainwashed and fucked up and shit. And my main reaction to that mostly is the older generation before the old generation thought the same thing about them. It's always gonna be that way. There's always gonna be something in the newer, younger generation that seems royally fucked to the older generations, especially when you're dealing with baby boomers. And even more so with the way society is now, there's so much access to everything that things that might not have been as popular get to spark into popularity much more easily because of the interwebs, which I think is a fantastic thing personally. It gets me more exposure to things that are great, but it also gets exposure to things that are weird. And these are things that the older generation might not have seen of the younger generation. Because when you go with the much older generations, well, chances are the generations that were older than them didn't really see the weird shit that they did, because they couldn't really share it online. Whereas now, it's like, you get to see all of it. Everything. Every little thing. Especially if you want to. And personally, I think with, like, the older generation throwing a tizzy and a piss fit, and getting really mad about it and everything, I'd say, is it harming anyone? Chances are no. And 2, does it affect you in any fucking way? Chances are it doesn't. So, with the older generation, I'd say either A, try to figure out why so many younger people like it. Maybe try to educate yourself on it. That, or just don't give a fuck. You don't have to look at it. You don't have to like it. And that's definitely something with it. I know there's a lot of people, millennials too, that don't like the Teratophilia thing and find it weird and creepy and shit. And honestly, yeah, you don't have to look at it. I mean, the only reason I've seen it is because I've been pretty much, like, trying to figure it out and everything and looking at it and whatnot. The Venom thing is pretty much the only example of just everyone fucking seeing this shit. Anyway, my laptop's gonna die. So, I guess Teratophilia is a-okay in my book, and it is not bestiality, and there's really no reason to throw a piss-fit tizzy about it. You don't have to expose yourself to it, and it doesn't really affect you at all. And it's really interesting that it's become so popular with the current generation, and seems to be popular too with the Gen Zers as well. And I kind of want to see how that develops, and how that affects society in the future. So I guess that's something to potentially look forward to. But it also makes you wonder, what would happen if aliens came to Earth that were actually, like, considered fuckable by Teratophiles? Like, what would happen? I mean, it's kind of hard to actually say, because that's such a thing out there. So,